Hello everyone. Oh, the camera's frozen again, isn't it? Hold on, let's fix that. Does this sometimes, I don't know why. Let's fix that quickly. Turn it off, turn it on again. And there we go, fixed. Cool. Hello everyone, welcome to tonight's live stream. Something a bit different this time. I want to try something else out. Just to experiment a few things. One thing I wanted to do was talk about just talk about games and game industry, game design in particular, and talk about how you how could some games that have gone wrong go better, what design decisions were made, and what are the pitfalls to fall into. So I wanted to talk about tonight about World of Warcraft, and in particular the difference and my experience with World of Warcraft and what's happening with it nowadays, especially with the lawsuits going on and so forth. So I wanted to have a quite a chill time. So it's like a chat, basically discussion chat thing that I want everyone to get involved in and talk about it and join the conversation as well. I'm going to be playing a bit of Final Fantasy XIV whilst we go, and talk about this. It's a good comparison. As you may or may not be aware, a lot of people are flocking from World of Warcraft to Final Fantasy XIV, and there is reasons for that. And one thing I want to point out today is talk about those reasons and talk about why I think people are finding comfort in Final Fantasy XIV compared to World of Warcraft. So that's what we're going to talk about this evening. So it's a bit different. It's just been mostly just a little rant, really. It's about where things could go. But we can let's just chill out and have a bit of fun, really. Also, I'm not feeling too well, so I thought I'll do a bit of an easy one, easier time tonight. So yeah, let's just jump straight in. So yeah, this is Final Fantasy XIV. So when I'm talking about World of Warcraft, my experience of World of Warcraft was I joined back in 1.9. I think it's 1.9. It's the Anchorage event, because that was going on whilst I was leveling, so people were collecting all the resources, things like that. So I've been playing World of Warcraft for a long time, and to have it turn the way it has and evolve as it has, I mean, it definitely is a different game, obviously. Where'd I have to go? Okay. It's definitely a very different game nowadays compared to how it was back in, especially vanilla, TBC, and so forth. At the height of it, I was guild leading. I was raid leading during Wrath and Kata. It wasn't anything good, like not high end or anything like that. Just casually playing it, and getting through content with some people and teaching them how to do stuff and things like that. And that all fell apart quickly, obviously, when we got into Kata. Content was a bit overtuned at the start, made it a bit difficult for us newbies and so forth. So I stopped raid leading, stopped guild leading, started being more casual with it. And as you get older, you get more jobs, responsibilities, children, wife, you finally have less time. So my current time playing World of Warcraft has been quite casual. Just playing like LFR, just doing leveling, dailies, things like grind, things like that. Mod runs. And I enjoyed it to a point. But there are massive faults with the game. And I'm going to say all this, I think, in not disregarding the lawsuit and all the crazy horrible things that have been going on over there. I think there was problems. There are problems with World of Warcraft before that stuff happened. Before that stuff came out. Before that came to light. And I think what we should really talk about is what those issues are, how they got to those points, and where does it go from there. So could WoW be safe? What does it have to do better? So I mean, starting off, I can see like a lot of people I know have quit WoW, and I say I've been playing it for since 1.9 years, and that decision came was the lawsuit stuff was a final straw, but before that it wasn't as fun anymore. and this is true from the last couple of expansions, and from especially like Legion onwards, is this notion of the game being cyclical in its patches. So content would come out, and immediately everything you'd done up to that point was basically null and void. It was pointless. And so if you're casual like I was, and I imagine it being worse for hardcore people who've got they need to level up and things like that, but if you're casual like I was, you'd get to a patch, and you couldn't put in the time, you'd get to that content that was new content, and you feel like you didn't earn it. You'd feel like you didn't get there because you stepped up a ladder. You got there because you got picked up and lifted to it, and it kind of sucked the enjoyment out of it. Knowing that, especially when you're doing that content, you're knowing that what you're doing right now doesn't ultimately matter. And I think the number one thing I've noticed with Final Fantasy XIV as I've been playing it in comparison to WoW, and thinking about why do people enjoy this game more so than World of Warcraft at the moment, and I think Belluar, who's a YouTuber on WoW, if you're not familiar, pointed it out quite well, is that with each expansion that an MMO does, it shouldn't be subtractive to the experience. It should be additive to experience. So the problem that WoW had was that when the expansion came out, it basically nulled everything that led up to it. Previous raid content was pointless. Dungeon content was pointless. Like, there's no point to any of it. With Final Fantasy XIV now, I'm finding that like it's just a whole lot more alive. People are actually doing older content because it's still relevant. They keep it relevant, and the community. I mean, the community's nice, but what it actually sells it is that I can look around here and I see people there. Look, I see people playing. Do you know how? Oh no, it's a person. No, well, there was a person over here. I swear. Just for a second. Oh, there you go. So, you see people playing the game as you walk about quite regularly, and like the cities are bustling with people, and you just see people doing stuff. World of Warcraft didn't have that anymore. It was too siphoned off, where it was going for another person. So it was too siphoned off. You wouldn't see people because of this content. And keep in mind that I'm in like still low level content. I'm still only like level 33, so I shouldn't be seeing anyone really. And WoW, I wouldn't see anyone in like a Barons. Maybe one person, but not two people like sitting right here doing nothing. And WoW just kept taking away more and more people. So as it brought in new content, older content was just left barren. You wouldn't be able to use it at all. So it was kind of like annoying that you would constantly be working on and stuff like that. And knowing that the next expansion is just going to take away everything you just earned, just everything you won, and so forth. So let's talk about Final Fantasy XIV a little bit. Why I'm enjoying Final Fantasy XIV, and maybe that can shed some light on what we can do with World of Warcraft. And if I was given reins of World of Warcraft, what would I be doing? And by the way, hello everyone in chat. I do see chat. So hello. Let's actually answer a couple of questions whilst we're here. Before I go into that chat. Orion Gaming, hey everyone, love your content. Have you made tutorials about turn-based games? I thought about making some. So the next big series coming out after RTS series and equipment series is a turn-based JRPG series. Where am I going? No, we'll go there. It's a turn-based RPG series. That would be something quite cool to show. I'll be using like the what are they called? Paragon characters as JRPG characters. So yeah. So it's kind of so that'd be kind of cool. But anyway, let's talk about Final Fantasy. Why I'm enjoying Final Fantasy. I'm enjoying Final Fantasy because as I said, I'm quite casual. There's a ton of stuff to do, like a ton. The leveling content is fine. The questing's different because you don't have to do all the side quests. You just do the main story quest. The focus on story is cooler. The focus on RPG is just better. Like the fact that you can dress up your character in however you want is quite cool. And the Gold Saucer may be my favourite place. I spent hours in it the other day, just chilling out. So I was really impressed with just how thorough and thought out that was. And you compare that to the equivalent that World of Warcraft has, the Dark Moon Fair. Dark Moon Fair is around, what, 1 week, this first week of each month, or whatever it is. And there's not anything fun to do there. Like, you go there, do a quest maybe, do some basic stuff, but that's it. Where to go to the Gold Saucer, you've got like events going all of the time, like are active on a stage. You see people doing stuff and getting actual things. You get people gambling all over the place. It's loads of stuff going on, and it makes it really fun to be a part of it. And it feels like you're in part of a world, and that's one thing I really like about Final Fantasy XIV. You feel like you're actually playing an MMO, whereas World of Warcraft felt like you was in a giant lobby before you went into a raid or a dungeon. There was no one actually interacting with each other, no one really doing anything with each other. And I think that's kind of the key thing, is that this feels more like an MMO. Which is weird, because you think World of Warcraft as the pinnacle MMO, as it has all the MMO staples, so exactly the same staples as this. But where this one kind of brings people together, World of Warcraft kind of splits you all up. Which is the problem, I find. But yeah, so expansion should be additive, not subtractive, and that's the thing I want to take away from this. I'm not paying attention to what the hell I'm meant to be doing. Where do I go now? I've got to do a dungeon. Ugh, okay. Oh, okay, I'm in the right area. Sure. Due to grinding, Barter says, I would say that this is pretty less grindy than anything I've ever played. Oh, what's this? Okay. Okay. Don't know what I just did. T to look up to T to look out. Okay, we'll do that then. So yeah. So yeah, you can just focus on the main story quests, which are these ones with a little like meteor flame going on. They tend to be like the ones you want to follow. They give you the most XP. They actually drive the story forwards, and you can see you outlevel them pretty quick as well. Still, but anything that majorly important, you get down synced. So I'm getting lost here. There we go. You get down synced in level. So and that's one thing that's quite cool. When Warcraft done level syncing, how they did it was they brought your stats down. They just brought your stats down. Here, you actually lose abilities. You actually lose abilities and things like that. So it really does make you feel like you're playing like how you was at that level, which I think is what makes that raid content actually. I haven't got to it yet, but makes that raid content actually still applicable, because it is still letting you do the stuff at the correct level that you should have been doing it at the first place. And I believe there's rewards as well for doing stuff like that. I might as well click hand in this thing and unlock that dungeon. So yeah, I find this one to be a whole lot less grindy, and it's just a lot more fun. Like, it doesn't take itself serious really, even though like the graphics you'd think would make it look serious. The gold source, the gold source is my favourite place. I have great fun there. Let's get around this. You saw me. And another really cool thing I think that this game does better than WoW is it's far friendlier on your alts. So if you don't know if you've never played Final Fantasy XIV, you only played WoW, in World of Warcraft you have to level alts up as separate characters, and you have to start again and do it all from scratch. In this one, your character can be every class, every profession, everything. It can do everything. You just change your weapon and you become that class, and that is cool. And I think that, especially in modern WoW, is the problem that modern WoW has, in that it's so unfriendly to your alternative characters. Because say you're doing the new power system, which gets you like extra stats and stuff like that. So for example, nowadays it's the Torghast thing. If you have to do that on every character, it's a killer. But on here, once you unlock it once, and that's it. It's cool. You don't have to do it again. You've done it. You're the same character, which is really neat. and I feel like that's kind of key for this. Let's put some music on this thing, because this is let me just get some music up here. So that's kind of, it's a cool thing to do. Have all that stuff separate. Let's hang on. Let's turn it down a bit. There we go. Yeah, so it's like, I think that none of that is to WoW's real fault, because WoW is from the era where EverQuest 2 was then the pinnacle. Okay, and we have this sort of frog leaping effect where what WoW did was basically what EverQuest 2 did, but better. So it took everything that EverQuest 2 was doing and improved upon it. And I think Final Fantasy XIV has done what WoW did to EverQuest 2. It took the content that EverQuest 2 did well and done it better. This one's taking what WoW did well and doing it better. And that seems to be the core thing I think has happened here, is that it's overtaken World of Warcraft. The deletion of the old systems and all that stuff, and keeping that content only applicable for the current expansion, is very old school way of thinking. And if you think about the whole term of expansion, you think, okay, you're making it bigger, where in fact each expansion that WoW brings out makes it feel smaller, which is insane for MMO. It shouldn't be doing that. I'm going the complete wrong way, and I, yep, that's me not paying attention. So yeah, I mean, I'm pretty restating the same things over and over now, but yeah, so I think when, let's see what other people are saying. So Stefan, the social experience in WoW officially died when they introduced dungeon quests, dungeon queues. Possibly, yeah. I mean, I had great fun queuing when they first brought the dungeon queue system out. I really enjoyed doing it with my guildies and having a bit of fun with that. But yeah, I can see where that comment comes in, because yeah, obviously you can't just talk in chat and get queues together. But this game has that, and yet this feels so much more social. I think it's because this game provides opportunities to be social and almost encourages it. That's what it feels like anyway. I don't know how it feels like that, but that's what it feels like. It feels like it's encouraging me to be social and like talk to people. And you can see that the mentor system, I guess, and talk about how that's trying to support people to do that. Yeah, sure. Give you that. So yeah. Yeah, Stefan, as I was saying, like each WoW content doesn't even last a whole expansion. Each new raid tier makes the old one obsolete. Exactly, that's what I was saying earlier. And that's kind of, it feels defeatist. Like you're thinking, what's the point? Why am I doing this? I'm not gaining anything from it. I'm just unlocking an achievement basically. My gear doesn't really matter anymore, because you're going to replace the gear as soon as I get new greens and whatever else. So, as I said, it feels subtractive to the game experience rather than additive to the experience. Where's my drink? Need to get a new drink really, but no, I'll try and do without that. So if I was given World of Warcraft as a project, let's say I'm giving it, we'll do two scenarios. If I was given the project way back when, right at the start, what would I do differently? And if I was given the project right now, what would I do differently? I think we'll handle both those scenarios and talk through them. It's an interesting exercise to do. And I sometimes do this. I'll sit down and think, like, if I was doing this project, how would I do this better? I did it for the Star Wars, the The Rise of Skywalker, because it's a shite script, a shite film, and I love Star Wars so much that I sat down and rewrote a script of how I would do the story, how I would wrap it up, using the same limitations that I had if I were taking it on from Last Jedi. What would I do to make the ending? And yeah, it's just bad. So I do this quite often as a little exercise, like creative exercise. What would I do different? So if I was given World of Warcraft and like vanilla, and I got told like, okay, you need to make this game's expansion, like how do we progress this game forward? Where do we go next? So obviously you need some sort of catch-up mechanics. That's true, because obviously you don't want players having to go through every single raid tier in order to get to the next raid tier, and that's the problem the Naxxramas raid had at the start, because no one ever done it. I think, what would I do? So the catch-up mechanic would need to be something that respected the people who done the content, and still allow people to join the new game. So I'm thinking like what you do is like I mean, I'm guessing you're introducing different difficulties really. I would treat like, maybe I would treat the raids as like they got in here different difficulties for different raids, and like World of Warcraft eventually did. Is you have the base level difficulties, like almost like leveling one, where you get a leveling thing, and then maybe NPCs join you, so you can see the wrap up of the story that happens in the raid, or whatever. But I think you need something like that, and by doing that content, you can then see the story stuff and get caught up story wise, and experience wise, and you know what that's going on there. And you get, and maybe when if you complete that, then you get like tokens to unlock gear to give you some stuff to keep going forwards. But you would always be at this sort of level, and I think that would be what would be interesting, having like this like graph where your eye level or your item level would stay the same, like on this chart going across here. But if you're raiding, doing hardcore raiding, that line is up here now. So these are going parallel to each other. And you want those eye levels to go parallel to each other. So the content's available to both people, but at different levels. And if you want to go to top end, maybe you keep that going at that sort of parallel nature. And if people on this line near the bottom line want to go up to try the hard difficulties, they just got to make that little jump to that level and keep going. But if they suddenly drop down, they can still do the raid content and still get rewards, but they never go higher than they normally would go. So almost like LFR, but I would make it even easier than that, where you don't need a full party, like you have NPCs helping you and all sorts. So you get full like story-based conclusions to the whole game. Again, I wasn't paying attention. I mean, okay, I've got to go back there. I've got a thing I can teleport to. Yeah, yes. So that would be one thing I'd think about, is how you would handle that. As for expansion wise, I think TBC is a good expansion to bring in and all that stuff, but you have to think about how can you keep the old content still available to go to and still want to do stuff, still want to make people to go through. How would you do that? I mean, have quests that involve maybe the old areas still. There's a habit in WoW expansions to keep everything localized to wherever the expansion's set. TBC done it alright, actually, not too bad with this, because you still had to go back to like Deadwind Pass and things like that. Like, you got some cool things you could do there. Make the capital cities only the capital cities in the vanilla, and make them the only ones. You have like a little forward base maybe in the expansions, but you don't have like all your needs there. Most of your needs, like you don't have auction house, don't have bank and stuff like that. You have to go back to your capital city. Sure, it's inconvenient, but it's not massively. You have portals and things like that. But it's too busy splitting everyone up. It needs to bring people together. I mean, original WoW having all those different cities, I think, was a bad idea. You should really only have one. So like Orgrimmar, Ironforge, or Stormwind, or whatever. Again, keeping those people together rather than splitting them up. I think that would help a lot with that social aspect. It'll make you feel more alive and things like that. And then that gives you more options as well to do stuff where you could say like make the other cities that you don't use. So let's say if Stormwind's the main capital city, you can make Ironforge like a questing hub, for example, or vice versa, or even a raid at one point. Oh, that was quite good gear. Hang on. Nice, alright. Let's put those on. Refresh this. There we go. So yeah, I think that's a good way of doing that. Quite cool thing to do. Make reputation account wide, so you don't have to farm reputation on everyone. A lot more account wide stuff, like rep achievements and progress, things like that. Make it all account wide. You've done the work, but that's the thing. It has to respect the player's time. So if the players put in that time, give them the damn reward. If they suddenly want to change character or change class or whatever, give them the damn reward. And I mean, World of Warcraft would have had a hard time going to the model that Final Fantasy XIV has, where you can change it to any class. But what they could have done is done a class switching sort of mechanic, where you can switch over to different classes midway through the game. So you use the same character, you just click switch class and it'll switch the class, and you may pay some gold for that service, but it'll keep track of your progress the whole entire time. It won't lose it. I mean, that would be quite cool. So like transmog, but for classing stuff. Yeah. So I think they're some of the core changes I would have done differently at the launch of WoW and TBC, particularly like the first time they were doing expansion content. But then it all comes down to then how do you keep people playing the game, because after all it's a business. You want to keep people playing your game and so forth. And I think the problem that World of Warcraft solved here, they solved it in the incorrect way. The way they solved it was, oh, we'll just give these really grindy mechanics to farm over and over and over again. And once you've done it, great, next patch comes out, wipe it all out. Here's some more you have to farm. And the cycle repeats every single patch. That's the wrong way of doing it. Because as I said, it doesn't respect players' time. It just wastes the players' time. And you feel like you're wasting your time and money. So, how to get about that? I would, one, not do that. Instead, I'd be looking more along lines of like, you give them content to kill time in. Things that are time sinks, but aren't progression sinks. So they don't have to do it in order to do the content they want to do. It's extra stuff. And WoW kind of brought some of this in with like things like battle pets and things like that. But that's still like a sort of progression system, but it's not obviously tied to the raiding experience or PvP experience. But if you look at this game in particular, I'd say the Gold Saucer, it's on all the time. It's something to do. Like, there's no reason why the Dark Moon Fair, for example, can't be on all the time. There's no reason for it. So it needs to change that mechanic. It needs to say like, hey, let's not waste the player's time with these pointless mechanics that makes them regret their whole month payment, whatever. Instead, they are encouraged to just spend time in this world, socialize, and there needs to be more social interaction with people and doing fun things together and things like that. I think that would be a better way of handling that, so you don't have these weird progression loops going on. Then there's a saying, natural problem is the way MMORPG functions are old. Habswheel became so evident it is legit side of it, or the money aspect of it. Nothing can serve as a fresh patch on that genre overall. Yeah, I mean, the genre overall has that issue. And I think one thing that this game, Final Fantasy XIV, does differently is that it doesn't, as far as I'm aware, it doesn't have that hamster wheel grind. And this comes from the director of it. He's saying, like, we don't intend people to be playing this game all day long. They expect people to turn up, play a few hours, or play an hour, and then log off. The problem with World of Warcraft, it wants people to be playing all the time. And that's not good. It's not healthy. So this game actually discourages you from doing that. And that's because it doesn't have that progression mechanic, that progression loop, that hamster wheel, as you put it. It is forcing you to it's not forcing you to do anything. You could do whatever the hell you want at that time. You've got alt classes you can level up. You've got professions you can level up. You can do just social activities to hang out with people, or just turn off the game. You know, what am I doing? Where? Quarry Mill. Where's that? The Shroud. Have I been there yet? I have. Nice. Okay. And so, as I say, so far this one doesn't feel as grinding because you don't have to do every single quest. You just do the main story quest. I pick up the side quests like it's all. I treat the side quests like you do in Skyrim. Like you pick them all up, and that's it. And you can just do them as you go. As bad as WoW is in that regard, Destiny 2 is even worse. The game tried to keep you in constant FOMO to prevent you from taking breaks. Yeah, that's it, Stefan. It does. And I played a lot of Destiny 2 as well. And it got to the same boat. I was like, I can't keep up with this content. I have a full life. Like, I work. I've got family. I've got kids. I can't play games all day long. So you can't commit yourself to that. And without buying levels and things like that, like, it's pointless. Yeah, it definitely feels like it punishes you for that. And that's one thing that's really nice about what I've heard about the Halo Infinite thing, is that they're keeping all the battle passes valid. So if you miss a battle pass, don't worry, you can just keep going on it, and even after the season's finished, it will still be there, which is super cool. I don't know why that wasn't never a thing. I mean, yes, you want the FOMO thing to kick in, but that is just an old school way of thinking. We as game designers, we should respect players' time and encourage them to want to come back, not because they feel they have to come back. I think that's the trick there. But yeah, Destiny 2 is definitely rotten with this. The difference with Destiny 2 is that the game's actually fun to play. Like, the shooting's fun. MMOs aren't that. The gameplay in MMO, the moment to moment gameplay isn't that fun. Yeah, it's you're just hitting 3 or 4 buttons and that's it. For battle, there's not much skill really involved, so to speak. The skill comes in like knowledge and awareness of stuff. I'm not paying attention to any of this quest. So that's the bigger difference. You can have fun with that game without doing any of that content. You just run around doing stuff. Oh, what oh dear. Yeah, I'm also appreciative of the way this game handles storytelling. It's a lot stronger. But anyway, let's talk about how we would fix World of Warcraft today. So, if after everyone got sacked because they're all perverts, and they were like, Ryan, we want to hire you to take over and fix World of Warcraft, bring it back to its glory days, how would you fix it? Honestly, I think it's too far gone. I don't know. You have to do a full upheaval of how the game systems work. The problem is, like, no matter what you do, because people have sunk 15 years of their life into making all these alts, for example, if you were to fix the classing stuff so you can respect things being account wide, you're making people feel like, oh, they've wasted more of their time because their alts are now sitting there worthless because the main character could do everything now. It's very much a product of its time. and that's the biggest issue it has. But some minor things we can do. I'll take out the end of the time sinks, the repetitive patch content, the temporary power systems. We don't want that anymore. Okay, it's an old way of thinking of like, how do we get the people onto the hamster wheel? When they get tired of one hamster wheel, give them another one. That's not the right way of doing it. The right way of doing it is giving them one hamster wheel and just letting them decide when they want to turn it and when they don't want to turn it. So getting rid of that power level powering thing that they do, and I'll try and rebalance it so it does do that thing where you can do all the content solo, friendly, casual, whatever, on a certain level, but then you have then you can go up to higher difficulties and do the same content again but at higher levels and get the full experience as intended, but get rewarded for it. So that's where you get like your mounts, your unique transmogs, whatever it may be, and you can stay at that level and not worry about having to go up further and higher. More social experiences, make things like the Dark Moon Fair available all the time and put actual good stuff in it. Make people want to go there, not because it's offering progressive rewards like profession upgrades and things like that, but because it's just fun. What they do in this game is actually put an actual legit casino in there, so you can gamble away these tokens and money and things like that. It's not real money. You can't do anything with it. You can't lose money in real life. It's just something that you do fun. But people like seeing high numbers. So if you do something like that, maybe you get like, I would treat it maybe like you know how you get in the arcades where you get the prize tokens. Maybe Dark Moon Fair ticket tokens can become a thing, and then you can collect hundreds of thousands of them, and you can turn them in for like rewards, like cosmetic rewards maybe. That'd be quite a cool way of phrasing that thing. But give them actual mini games. Actually put stuff in there. Didn't they have one point like Peggle in World of Warcraft? Like you got, you can do easy stuff in it. I think that sort of stuff would work well. Other social experiences you can do as well, like what else could we do? It was an add-on. It was a good add-on though. What else could we do as social experiences besides Dark Moon Fair? Maybe something like happens in Orgrimmar and happens in Stormwind and whatnot. I don't know. But the next expansion, I'll make sure it takes place all over the world. You've got a massive world to take part in. Use it. You've got all this stuff you can use. Use it. Okay, use the scenarios. Use anything you can to put people back in the world. Make it feel like it's all connected. The problem with Shadowlands at the moment is so disconnected from the world that you came from and what you're worried about and what you care about. It doesn't feel, you don't feel no attachment to it. It feels like you've just gone around some stranger's house. It doesn't feel applicable anymore. So I would spread the quests out and dungeons out. Put a dungeon out in the real world, like in Azeroth, for example. Put raids out back in Azeroth. Do something different with it. Maybe like play around with different things like that. Music events, yeah, the fashion show. Make the fashion show public, like happens right in front of you, and maybe like the people walk down the catwalk, then do like dances, emotes, and things like that, and you can all vote on it. There's no reason why these things have to be very specific things. And making like things like fishing again, like exciting to do, like competitions in, like actual things that take part in and get rewards from. Like, if you put some decent cosmetics in it, people will do it. I think you can kind of foster that sort of encouragement. I mean, just look where we are now. Look at how many people are just walking around. Well, I've turned nameplates off, but because it's really annoying. But look how many people there are. Yeah, people just chilling out. Like, this is cool. This is what you want. By the way, there's one little thing that Final Fantasy does that I've noticed that's really quite a really nice little addition. Is that whenever you're near a certain number of NPCs, I don't know how many it is, it plays crowd sound effects. You can hear a crowd talking and yapping. It makes you feel like you're actually going past loads of people. It's a really subtle, really cool effect. Excuse me, I'm gonna go get a drink. I'm like dying of like dry throat. Hang on. We're back. Okay, we're back. One thing I thought was always cool is like you can do like maybe like a time trial runs and things like that of dungeons and have them publicly available in game and actually see them. That's quite cool to do. Maybe like solo ones and group ones. I've got chocolate buttons as well. I think it just needs to stop splitting people up. That's the problem it's doing. And it's splitting people up in like almost like class warfare. You got the haves and have-nots. People who have time, people who don't have time. I mean, this is all regarding like gameplay stuff. I'm not going to talk about story stuff. Granted, I feel like they made a few missteps in story-wise and then what they could have done. But we're not going to talk about that. But what today's MMO needs to look like, it needs to look more social, it needs to be more inclusive, and be respectable of people's time. Time is a massive issue for people. Less so about money, more it's just more about time, I feel. Creating trade, no, some sort of fee. So with that in mind, then Dinez, what might be quite a cool thing to do is sort of like Sea of Thieves style, maybe. Like you have different companies and they ask you like, hey, I've got a quest for you to go take this stuff over here to this place. But I guess then it's just a fetch quest, isn't it? I don't know, something along those lines. You got like companies that you can sign up for, and they'll give you like almost like auto-generated quests, where you got to take things to certain places and or kill certain things in certain places, to push you into the right zones and level up those sort of reps. Maybe you have different reps for different people. That could be something, maybe. Sort of like how you have like in Skyrim, you have like the different guilds. Like a thief guild. The thief guild, you got to maybe go into a dungeon and raid a dungeon and get some special loot. Maybe you got, and then you level up that rep. And respect that rep, and they will respect other older content as well. That would be quite cool. I mean, you can even incorporate that into like archaeology, for example, that already exists in the game, and use that for that. Maybe that would be quite cool. What's that, Stefan? Something I was thinking about along the vein was keeping old world materials relevant, if just to trade materials. You mean? Yeah, you could do. Yeah, definitely. They also have to take the one thing they do have to do in World of Warcraft is take out the damn WoW token. It's broken that economy to no end. You have to get rid of it. I understand why they put it in there from a business sense and from like legal sense stuff, but it's just you've done more damage than good, I feel. Won't pay attention. Helping horn. Okay, I've got to go there. This way. Yeah, just enough to incentivize players to go back out into the world. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, maybe you could do things like those trade companies. Maybe like you got okay, so we got like thief ones. The thief ones ask you to go into dungeons and steal stuff. maybe you got one that's like a trading post company, and they require you to collect certain materials or certain things, but they have to be particular materials from a particular area. Yeah, maybe spawn special stuff like that and encourage you to go into that area and do stuff like that. That could be something worthwhile, and and that make that rep grind be there only for cosmetics and account wide, and also expansion wide. Like, they stay there for expansions as well. You don't have to do them by the end of expansion. You don't have to do them before the end of the patch. They're going to remain there the whole entire time. Like, one thing I've noticed that was weird in this game when I started playing, by the way, is that you don't loot items like from corpses. So strange. But yeah. So I thought that was like a really cool way, like that'd be quite a cool way of doing that. So okay, let's theorize this. So we've got like a thief trading company and a thief company and a trading company. What else could you do? Explorers, a guild archaeology, build that into it and make them go to certain sightseeing spots. Encourage you to explore the world more. Hunters, have a hunting guild. They spawn like a random rare mobs in the world that are extra powerful, and you have to go back into those areas and kill the targets. Some will require groups, some won't. Yeah, I don't know. There's some little options there to do some cool stuff, I feel. Just to get people back into the old world content and doing stuff there, and in old world dungeons too. And maybe when you do that with the dungeons, you have to queue up and they'll down level it or something. I don't know. Yeah, so pretty cool. Okay, what else could you do? What other problems will we have in it? So we've got to try and get people together. Do Dark Moon Fair, singing, dancing. Don't know. What else do we do? I mean, they got kind of some stuff already in place that can handle a lot of this stuff. Like time walking is a legit idea, but the rewards from it are not great, and also you're like too overpowered for it. Even though it scales you down, you like it doesn't, because so much tuning's happened between then and now. Your character's basically way more powerful. So they need a way of bumping those up, rather than bring you down to that level. They need to bring those enemies up to your level. I think that's a different way of thinking about those sort of things. So if you can do Ulduar, it just bumps the enemy stats and all that to your level, not you go down to theirs. I think that's something to think about. And like retune it for that sort of thing. I mean, it's a lot of work, but to retune all that stuff would take us some time, I'm sure. But the alternative is that you've got dead content that's just sitting there, which is a crying shame, because that content's good. But it's wasted. It's just sitting there doing nothing. Like you've got all this stuff installed on your computer, but you can't use it. There's no point. Besides for like where we go now. Really not paying attention to any of this. Where's that? So, oh, it's to the right, to west of me. We'll maybe go into some gold also, in case people haven't seen it. There's also like the thing that I really liked about WoW when I first started playing WoW was the idea of like there are secrets in the game, like things that you didn't know about. I remember this was a time when internet wasn't really a thing. You couldn't just go and Google and find the answer. So you hear about rumours, and people will talk about it in school and college, and they'll say like, "Oh, did you go to this place? If you go to this place at this time, there's a rare spawn that could happen." Like, I remember farming the Wailing Caverns for ages because there's 2 rare spawns in there and they give you good stuff that you can sell for good money. And yeah, you would do it because like you hear these rumors and you try it out, and you hear about these sort of legends and these stories and things like that. And I kind of miss that mystery in it. So if there's a way to bring that back into games, it'd be good to have that back in. And maybe something like that's quite a complex riddle for everyone to solve together, maybe. So like you got to work with other people to solve it. But I feel like if you're going to do that, you're going to have to do it like procedural almost, because you don't want people spoiling on the internet. So you need to generate a way of doing like riddles. And it doesn't have to be an actual riddle, but I don't know, something mysterious. Something like, oh, if you do this and this together, you unlock this. Something when you saw. Oh, actually, let's go to Gold Saucer. Whoops. Can we get from here? No, do have to just go through the map. That's long. It's probably a shorter way to get to that. I'm not too sure. Yeah, so you need to retune the bosses. The trash mobs clearing faster isn't necessarily a bad thing. Yeah, true. Yeah, just the bosses would worry about. Yeah, give them something cool to do. No, it shouldn't take too long to retune because you just got because the mechanics are the same. It's just different damage, different health pools. Mostly the same. Yay. Right, let's go check out my tickets. I don't think have I done my tickets today? Let's have a look. Yeah, let's do some tickets. Okay, so that's not going to be a cheap one. So let's go. That could be a 139. I'm going to go here. Yeah, still profit. Just wasn't high enough. Like they have lottery in this. That's just cool. I got the top one the other day. Never mind. Like, you always win a profit on this. You're not going to lose money. So yeah. Crap ones today. Yeah, nothing. Rubbish. Alright, this is stuff that we should need in MMOs. It's the social bit. That's the whole point of playing an MMO. And I think that's the biggest thing that World of Warcraft needs to take away is that remember that it's an MMO. You need to get people together, having fun together, talking to each other, and just hanging out with each other. Like, there are people just here, just standing around. Oh, that's cool. And I think that's what we're greatly missing from the genre at the moment, is that. And I think Final Fantasy XIV is the one that's providing it at the moment. I want to try out New World. I haven't checked it out. Anyone here checked it out? I haven't. It is one I want to try out because it does look interesting. But again, I'm casual, and so far FF14 seems to suit me quite well for that regard. Yeah. Okay. So back to the original question. Let's summarize the question at the start of this thing was, how do we fix WoW? At this point, I think it's a managed decline. I think it's had its time in the sun, and just like how it took the crown from EverQuest and iterated on what EverQuest was doing and improved upon it, games like Final Fantasy 14 and I assume New World as well are taking what WoW has done and are iterating on that and making that the new precedent for MMOs. The reason why it hasn't happened up till now is because WoW has kind of been churning out the same stuff over and over again, but also because before now MMOs were trying to be the same as WoW. They're trying to do the exact same thing as WoW. What we're seeing here is, or they're trying to do something really different from WoW. What we're seeing here is more of an evolution of what WoW should be doing, could be doing. And not saying that Final Fantasy 14 is perfect, and it too will have its own issues, but those issues aren't right now. So to fix WoW, it needs to be, first of all, the company needs to be sorted out. Get rid of every manager in charge of that place, and get rid of them. Get rid of the HR company. I don't know. That's my little rant here now. How hard is it for a company, if you're a boss in a company, to just be a decent human person? Why do you have to be an arsehole? It's not that hard. I'm sure it's not that hard to be not a dick. But the past few years have just shown that the industry, especially in Western countries, and I'm sure it's everywhere, but definitely in Western countries, has been just inundated with stories about managers and heads and things like that just overstepping their bounds and treating their employees, not just the female employees, but all employees, like shite. But especially the female employees, I mean, they're like, I can't comprehend it. I honestly can't comprehend how your brain can go into a workplace and think that that's okay. From inappropriate touching, the misogynistic nature of your words and discussions and talking, like, it really isn't that hard. I don't understand why it can be. One thing I do understand why it hasn't ever been fixed. And this is kind of like, because it's institutionalized, it's part of the industry, and that is just nature of it because of where the industry's come from. We have to keep in mind that industry is very, very new in relation to other media. So if compared to film, for example, it's still a baby. And the people who are in charge are those who came through just that era of exclusiveness. Like, it belongs to them because they were there first. It's that sort of thinking about it. Like, it's quite closed off to new people. It feels that way anyway. And suddenly, when you've got people who are interested in actually joining an industry like this, especially female employees, we should be doing everything in our power to be wanting people to join our industry, not turning away from it. And it's this stuff, this crap that you hear it just saddens me, because I'm thinking, like, every step we are making forwards with it, you're taking it 10 steps back. I've been I was a teacher, if you don't know, teaching in a college, teaching games development. And one thing that we always got criticized on was that when we get like a course reviews at each year, where we have to reflect on the year, reflect on the course and how we've done and so forth. One thing that was always brought up and criticised was that how we have a massive disproportionate amount of male to female students. It's usually like out of 20 students, like 3 or 4 of them would be girls, the rest of them would be boys. And it would come down on us and like say, like, what can you do about it? I'm like, we're doing everything we can. We know, like, we all know, like, the gender divide between game players is about 50-50. Like, everyone likes playing games. Like, it's not like, if you like playing games, it doesn't matter if you're male or female or whatever. So I always said that's not the issue. Is not us. The problem is that the industry at large is not advertising to a young female demographic and saying, like, this is something you can do. Instead, they're getting stories like this coming out and disparaging people from actually wanting to get anywhere near it. And it makes it heartbreaking when you want to get more people involved in the industry, especially more diverse people. Having when I had female students, they would always come up with stronger ideas than the male students because they are coming from a different perspective. It was always far more enlightening and interesting. With the guys, all I got was Space Marines and zombies, but with them I got really interesting game design and interesting ideas, and it was really, really good. And pretty much every female student I had was the top grades in the class because they were really creative with their ideas, really good with it. So it's not like they can't do it, it's not like they don't want to do it. The issue is that they got people showing them that, hey, you don't want to get into this industry because you might get groped by your manager, which is disgusting and obviously aberrant. It obviously shouldn't be happening in any industry, let alone this one. An industry can't grow with people like this in power. They have to be getting rid of, and anyone that's enabled that as well. And that's my piece with it. I mean, you can go on forever and talk about this stuff, but I say I follow a lot of and talk to a lot of female developers. I've never had any come forward and say anything like this to me and say like their experiences, but I feel for them and understand that there is that issue. It's heartbreaking. It really is heartbreaking. As someone who loves making games, I just want everyone to be interested in making games. I can't wait for my son and my daughter to be old enough to sit them down at this computer and say, like, okay, I'm going to show you how to make a game. I can't wait for that moment because I want them to see, like, yeah, you can make some really fun stuff. It allows you to be creative, expressionistic. It's cool. So yeah, I mean, we'll end that discussion now. I mean, I've said overall we have to be more inclusive, and this is why I don't accept any kind of bullying on my Discord, on my YouTube, or anything. As soon as anyone is like talking crap about someone else or dissing their progress or just being like just ridiculously immature, I'll kick them. I'll block them. I'm not afraid to do it because that's not what this place is for. That you should be encouraging like a safe environment for people to get together and talk about these things and have actual good discussions about game design and games, and not be worried about stuff like that. So yeah, to fix well, definitely get rid of everyone that is in charge of that place, and start respecting the player's time ahead of everyone else's. So like everything else. So rather than worry about keeping people to play all day, make sure they're still coming back each month. That's the main thing to worry about. Not cool now. We were talking about the Blizzard lawsuit a little bit. Just then at the end. That's all. And talk about how the toxic environments that you sometimes hear in the games industry. And it was worth pointing out, obviously it's not every game studio at all. But it's the ones that are doing like the right thing are the ones not being spoken about. It's the ones that are doing the wrong things that get spoken about. So it's one of those things that the vocal minority you hear it, therefore you assume everyone does it, when of course it isn't the case. Yeah, it'd be great, Zolfa. Yeah, great. Made his own game. Nice. That'd be excellent. I'm always interested to see other people's games. Oh, I ain't got this one. So, to fix WoW, replace their staff. Not all of them, just the people in charge that have fostered this environment to grow. Which they've done that somewhat. They've replaced the head. They need to replace their HR department. They need to set up an internal quality team with their staff. So one way of doing it is that you could have some staff on like a body. And they are part of the HR department as well, and they get paid a little bit extra to be part of this. But they it's almost like a mini union inside the studio, like internal union almost. But they are the ones that are like in the meetings, in the board. It's almost like how we do it in education. We have student representatives. We have student reps come to our meetings and talk about the issues they're facing. You have that with staff. It's not a bad idea to have. But anyway, that's that. That's part of it. The other side of it is they need to respect players' time. Don't punish people for logging off. Make them want to come back each month, not each hour. And refocus efforts on socializing people together. Making use of older content. You've got loads of content in your game. Use it. Think of creative ways to use that old content. It's recycled content, but it's still content. Recycled content is still content. Just don't rely on it, obviously. Don't do a whole patch just for it. Make it part of the actual just the go-to game experience. I'm just running around in circles. I'm not actually doing anything. Let's just stand here. Make things like Dead Moon Fair available all the time as part of that social element. Try and get people connected to each other, doing stuff with each other, and maybe then they can bring WoW back to some semblance of greatness. But I honestly think it's going to be a controlled decline. But you never know. They may pull it out of the bag, but I'm not hopeful. I don't see myself going back anytime soon. Not until I respect my time in it. It's just not worth the money. But on the plus side, I'm enjoying Final Fantasy 14. I'm really enjoying it. It's slow going. Oh, I've got something here to unlock. Hold on. Oh. Got a weapon. Got a steel broadsword. I don't think it's going to be stronger than this though. No. Nah. Old stuff, don't want it. But I'm really enjoying this. As I say, it's got tons of cool stuff in it. And it's really deep. There's tons of stuff. Like, crazy stuff like the mount. The mount can, like, your Chocobo mount can have its own combat stuff. Which is just mental. Yeah, that's right, Cyber. Yeah, so you What's this? Something happening over here? I don't know what that was. Yeah, you got things like that. Yeah. The problem is if you just let it fester, it doesn't actually make anything better, because where does the change happen? Like, it's fine saying, oh, time will just fix things eventually, but the thing with that is stuff needs to happen during that time frame. You can't just say, oh, it'll just go. You have to do something particularly about it. Like your wounds on your body, when you let time heal your wounds, what's actually doing, your body's doing loads of stuff to help fix those wounds. You need to do stuff to fix those wounds, and it's the same for this. Like, you could just if you just let it fester, it doesn't actually improve, it just stays there, it doesn't change nothing. And there's a load of stuff that companies do that are meaningless stuff, like they'll replace a head with someone else, but not actually change any of their policies, not change any of their structure, not change anything like HR wise, so nothing improves that side of things. So as much as you say, okay, time will get rid of things and make things eventually better and keep the ones that are hard working, the problem is when those hard working people, they're the ones more at risk of leaving, and that's what you don't want to happen, because obviously they're the hard working ones. But okay, we're going to leave it there for today. This has been the first time I've done a let's chat type thing and talk about game design, talk about game industry stuff. Spoke a lot about MMOs in general and talk about how the structure of MMOs has changed, and spoken about what World of Warcraft could have done differently and what it could do differently going forwards. And talk about what the good things Final Fantasy 14 and other MMOs have done as well. So I think we'll leave it there for tonight. Thank you everyone for joining us and joining in the conversation. This I feel like went okay, and we may do more of these in the future, we'll see. Next week we'll be doing another live stream, but it'll be like an actual live session. So join us next Saturday for a live session itself. We also have question time on Wednesday, so if you have any questions, feel free to ask questions on Wednesday. If you want live one-to-ones with myself as well for private tutoring stuff, there are, I think, 3 or 4 sessions left in August, end of August, so if you want them, let me know. Costs and availability is all on the website. Otherwise, September and all that is fully open as well. Big thank you to all my patrons, YouTube members, and everyone else supporting me with their donations. I am doing this now full time, so it's only thanks to you that I can actually do that. Please don't make me go back to work, so thank you so much for your support. But have a great evening everyone. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you all next time. Bye everyone.